Hello everybody, Hunter here. Welcome or welcome back to the channel, whichever the case may be. Today we have a broad assortment of miscellaneous stories of Reddit. Enjoy. Our first story is from That Departure 4770 on the Am I the A-Hole subreddit, where OP is asking am I the A-Hole for telling my sister I hear the term half-siblings used in my classroom when she asked me about it because her oldest uses the term. My sister has 4 children. Her oldest is 13-year-old Kaya. Kaya has a different dad from the younger kids. My sister and her ex were together until Kaya was 2, and then they broke up, and they were never married. Kaya's dad unfortunately died 3 years ago. My sister got married when Kaya was 5, and had her other children when Kaya was around 7. From day one, Kaya has called them half-siblings. I'm not sure if my sister noticed less back then, or if she was trying to wait it out for Kaya to drop the half. But in the last few months, my sister has been on Kaya about saying half. She told her the kids are not half anything, they are siblings. They are full people, and she shouldn't love them less because they have different biofathers. She also told her Tom, her husband, has been an awesome second dad to her, so she could look at it as they do share 2 parents, even if not 2 bio-parents. A couple of weeks ago, Kaya told her mom that half-sibling is used all the time in school. She has friends who use it, teachers who use it, and she heard it from the time she started school, and it's not weird. My sister told her that was categorically not true. She said half is used to divide, and nobody in real life would use such a hurtful term. Kaya told her to ask me since I'm a teacher and would know better if it's used among people her age and younger, so my sister did just that in front of Kaya and told me that Kaya had told her that kids use the term a lot, and she doesn't believe it. I told her I did encounter half-siblings being used in my classroom. I don't always know a student is blood related to their siblings or not, or if their parents have kids from different relationships, but I always get around 3 to 6 kids a year who will say step and half. I also told her that that normally continues when they go to high school. My husband teaches in high school, and he did mention it to me when my sister and Kaya started fighting over her use of it. My sister didn't like my response and told me I should have the common sense to back her up when Kaya is present. She also said I should be backing her up, not Kaya, because I should want this nipped in the bud as much as she does. I told her she's the one who asked me, but again, her response was that I should have used common sense. Am I the a-hole? Truth be told, I don't think anyone is the a-hole here, but I also think this is a story where I'm torn over what's the correct thing to do. As the second oldest of 10 kids, my older sister is my half-sister. I've never called her that because, if I recall correctly, I only learned that relatively late in my childhood. She's always just been my sister. She doesn't have much contact with the family these days, so I have no idea what she considers me or the rest of our siblings, but I've never thought of her as anything other than my sister. I'm also the very proud father of 4 children, only one of which, the youngest, is my biological child. My wife is also not his biological mother. As far as I can remember, none of my kids say stepbrother or stepsister about each other, and the only time I clarify is when I have to explain having a 41-year-old daughter when I'm 53, and a son who's 6'3" when I'm 5'8" on a good day. And for the record, his mother is 5'2" and shrinking. I realize this is a to-each-their-own type of situation, but I just don't make those distinctions. As far as I'm concerned, they're my children, and they think of me as their dad, just as our youngest thinks of my wife as his mother. Now, regarding OP's story, the only thing I can say is you can't force children to use specific terms in situations like this. You have to let them define their own relationships, even if it causes you, the parent, pain. You can encourage, not force. And if Kaya is anywhere near as stubborn as I am, making her drop the terms she chooses to use to define her relationships will only lead her to resenting her mother and her siblings later in life, and I do not wish that on anyone. The second story, Pickles Come Home, is by a quiet borderline from the subreddit entitled People, and let me tell you, it is one hell of a story. During my many years as a photographer for the most magical place on Earth, think a certain theme park complex in sunny Central Florida, I've seen things. Buckle up, folks, this is going to be a crazy one. One of our annual pass holders is a young lawyer named Lizzie with her service dog Pickles. They come to the park at least once a week, and, when it's slow, Lizzie and I will spend a couple minutes just talking. Pickles is a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel and not a dog traditionally associated with service work, 2 is trained to stay close by without a leash because it'll interfere with his tasks. And 3, about 15 pounds, which will be important later. We were having a pretty typical day at the park when Lizzie and Pickles come in for their weekly visit. We spent a minute talking about our weeks when a family came up for me to take their picture. Lizzie thanked me for talking with her, and I tell her to give Pickles a porterhouse steak from me, which is our usual goodbye. Nothing too unusual so far. About an hour or so later, I was photographing another family when something grabbed my attention. I look over to see a strange woman carrying Pickles, who was struggling to get loose. I quickly excuse myself and rush over because I've never seen Lizzie with anyone and Pickles is clearly in distress. "Excuse me, ma'am, but is everything okay?" The lady saw me approaching and her face immediately went white. She quickly calmed herself and said, "Oh yeah, Buddy here just wants to go home," and then she tried to leave. That's when I decided to set a trap. One of the commands Lizzie told me about was Pickles sing, where Pickles will bark. "It's so nice to hear Pickles sing," I said. Right on cue, Pickles started to bark. It's at this point that 2 security officers arrived, having been alerted by Pickles barking. The lady let go of Pickles and bolted. I caught Pickles before he could hit the ground, and one security guard radioed for backup, giving a description of the lady while the other got some water from a nearby cart for Pickles. Not long afterwards, Lizzie arrived and was reunited with Pickles. It's here where I learned what happened. Lizzie and Pickles were enjoying a snack on the other side of the park when this lady came up and offered to buy Pickles for $100. And keep in mind, Cavalier King Charles Spaniels from reputable breeders can cost over $5,000. Absolutely stunned, Lizzie refused, saying Pickles was her service dog. The lady then got mad, said something about Lizzie not needing a service dog, and then left. Lizzie thought that was the end of that. A few minutes later, Lizzie dropped her bag, sending the contents everywhere. By the time she picked everything up, Pickles was gone. The lady was caught and explained that she wanted Pickles for her grandkids and felt she was entitled to him because, and I quote, "he wasn't on a leash and if she didn't want him stolen, she should have kept him leashed." End quote. I don't know what happened to her, but I do know Lizzie was considering a civil suit in addition to charges. Pickles was fine, just really scared, and they were back at the park the next week. And yes, Lizzie told me later that Pickles got a lovely steak dinner. I don't have much to add here except to say that it's a really scumbag move to steal someone's pet, but your scumbaggery gets really ramped up when you steal someone's service dog. Had that been my dog, whether service dog or pet, let's just say I would have been in need of a lot of bail money that day. That's it for this video, although I originally wanted this to have a third story. Unfortunately, that particular story has 2 parts to it, and both parts were removed from Reddit, for reasons unknown, before I could get screenshots from that second part. So I'm just going to leave that one for a later video once the second part becomes available again. Now, I do eventually want to make subreddit-specific videos, meaning all stories from the same subreddit in the same video, but I won't do a story without permission from the author, which can sometimes be difficult to get. So, unless it's years old and the author no longer posts to Reddit, I won't be doing it. That said, if you have a story on Reddit you'd like me to use in a video, by all means, put a link to it in the comments or send a private message on Reddit to HunterRDF, and I'll do my best to check it out. If you've made it this far into the video, I'd sure appreciate it if you dropped a like or a comment and hit that subscribe button. Those 3 things do more to help a channel than you realize. Lastly, videos might be more spotty than I would like because I've recently been diagnosed with MS, and yeah, that came as quite the shock. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Later.